And there you have it. New Nails, Mission of Burma. An old hour is gone. A new one is here at KRFF 95.9 LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo, 701-478-4959. What a beautiful life we live in. Now, this week, gorgeous out. Now, of course, it's 420 degrees always in here. I'm dressed appropriately. It's an exciting Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. That's me. A whole hour of cannabis devoted to cannabis, nothing but the cannabis. So help me, Wilson. Side stage with Trav, noon to 3 every Thursday, and then we've got automation. And then from 4 to 5, it's your boy Wilson talking about cannabis. And this week is no different. Of course, I've been talking about the last few weeks. I'm not alone here. I've got a fan of cannabis, also a fellow fan of cannabis, Committee for Compassionate Care. Leslie Ann Paulson is going to be here, and she also had a kerfluffle with the CBD. You know the visions of being the best farmer in the world. Sometimes has things you don't expect or suspect, and so I got a lot of questions. You probably hope I asked the right ones. And so she'll be up at 4:20. I give you a full bag of cannabis news, although this week we've got Leslie Ann Paulson in here. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to let a week skip, which there isn't a whole lot going on. I'm going to talk about it after the next musical break so I can catch you up to speed. But man, I don't know about you, but it's just crazy time to live in, and in your head it could be worse. So the mobile mental health crisis response number is 1-800-233-4512. And if that isn't bad enough, you end up being in your stinking car that stopped running. The New Life Center helps people who are homeless and hurting go from merely surviving to truly thriving. Their aim is to help people in need discover value and find hope. The New Life Center has evolved into a multifaceted emergency and crisis service center. To learn more about NLC, visit their website at www.fargonlc.org or give them a call at 701-235-4453. Again, radiofreefargo.org is streaming. Go there and donate. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson at 4:20. We get this thing going. We got a guest. We're up to our first musical ditty here. I feel like I'm sitting higher than I normally am. It's kind of a weird sensation, but this is Tom Petty. You don't know how it feels. Home recording, Tom Petty, Wildflowers, and all the rest. Super Deluxe Edition. That's 2020. RadioFreeFargo.org, 95.9 KRFF's where you're at. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson is who I am. It's a beautiful day outside. It's 420 degrees in here. I'm dressed appropriately. You can bet that. And 420, we've got cannabis news. We're going to talk to Leslie Ann Paulson, Committee for Compassionate Care. We're going to find out what's going on in the legislative session. We're going to find out what's up with the medical cards, and then we're going to find out why she had to destroy all of her beautiful CBD plants. I mean, I'm hoping I can even do it without crying, because quite frankly, it saddens me. And I've got a lot of questions like you want to know. Well, did her yard smell good? You know what I'm saying? You walk to the mailbox, you're like, ooh, what's the ambrosia? We'll talk about that. But I just wanted to say, since we are going to have a more personal type of Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, I just wanted to mention a few news things. Apparently, the UN just removed cannabis from the Schedule 4. And everybody probably knows that if you're into cannabis. But I don't know what it means to us because we're part of the UN, so I would imagine that it applies to us. And I wanted to mention that of the 53 members of the UN that voted, 27 voted for, 25 against, and 1 abstained from voting. So that's pretty close, and that trips me out when it's that close, how the people who voted no almost feel like it should be no because there's only 2 that sway the difference. But I just wanted to mention that the U.S., of course, and European nations, they voted for, but the people that voted against cannabis to be reduced, which makes you wonder why, China, Egypt, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Russia. They didn't want it, they voted against it to be removed. And so I don't understand why people do that. But then when you think about Russia, they're into vodka. They want to keep the vodka rock. And they're all for potatoes and Stalinov, but if it's green and it grows and it can, make other people money, well, why would they want that? So that's interesting to me. So you got Russia and China, our 2 favorite buddies. They voted against the declassification of cannabis. So that's an FYI. We now have removed it. I don't know if it's gone. Does it go down to a class 2? I don't know, but we voted for it, so good day to the Schedule 4. Alongside heroin, cannabis will be no more. It's off of there. So that's a huge, huge victory for people who believe in cannabis, and I certainly do, and I'm working my hardest to change that, and that's what's going to make this happen, is just one foot in front of the other for cannabis legalization. And then I also wanted to mention that next week, 420, I'll give you a fresh bag of cannabis news, and I just wanted to tell you that there's going to be more South Dakota coming. That's all I want to say. I'm not going to let that go. I'm going to pick that scab until they retract that lawsuit. And the fact that your tax dollars in South Dakota is paying to invalidate the very thing you guys, voted in is just, it's appalling. And I heard that Kristi Noem's actually the governor because they voted on how attractive she is. That's no way of voting people in, although I probably have done it. So there you go. Maybe it's just as simple as that. You're easy on the eyes. Tell us how to run the state. But anyway, again, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every stinking Thursday. This particular Thursday, 420, I got Leslie Ann Paulson in here. Committee for Compassionate Care. That's on Facebook. Canna-Talk ND is on YouTube and Facebook. ND for Freedom is the Facebook page. Pilco Canna-Heads. Philip Canna-Heads Pilco does a Sunday thing. Canna-Heads on Canna-Talk ND as well. Give that stuff a shout. RadioFreeFargo.org. Go there and donate. Whatever you got, we'll take it all. We'll take live animals. Just tell us ahead of time so we can, rope them up properly. We are now at the second musical break, so that's exciting because at the completion of this, I'll be back. We'll do the intro. It'll be Leslie Ann Paulson, and then we're going to talk about how the man doesn't like her. And if we don't like the man for not liking Leslie because she's a nice lady. So here's Keep It Between the Lines. Everybody walking this land, Paul Cawthon. I can't get enough of that guy. Keep It Between the Lines, Sturgill Simpson. Right before that, we're almost at the moment you guys have all been waiting for. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. Give you a fresh bag of cannabis news at 4:20, and this week is no different. I hope everybody had a happy Turkey Day. That was the week before this, I think. Shout out to my sister in Breckenridge who's listening. Keep cooking them lemon bars. Okay, well, it's Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We're going to get into it. Again, we have a guest. It'll be Committee for Compassionate Care, Leslie Ann Paulson. We're going to do an intro, and then let's get it.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna-Talk ND. The super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. That's where we're at now, RadioFreeFargo.org. Go ahead and, sorry, I was just preoccupied. But every Thursday, 4:20, we've got something to talk about. Usually I give you a week in news, but we've got Leslie Ann Paulson here. Say hi.
Hey, Greg. Oh, hi, Wilson.
So yeah, we had a pre thing. It's like, well, if it's Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, you can't call me Greg. I probably shouldn't have said it because it jinxed you. But anyway, thanks for coming in. Committee for Compassionate Care. That's focused on medical, and you've been, like I said, from Carrington, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've known you. I even remember Measure 3. You would drive, you'd be there, then you'd be gone. And I never put it together. So we've been doing it a while. We've been fighting the fight, legalize cannabis, and that's not going to stop, right? So when do you guys get back to the Capitol and do whatever that thing it is you guys do?
Opening day for the Capitol, I believe this year is January 6th.
Okay.
And nothing will go on that first day. It's kind of like get to know the Capitol Day. But we do have a few things that we are bringing up to the Capitol this year.
Okay, so tell me about it. So anyway, when you say you go to the first day, what you just hang out in that thing?
Yeah, they kind of give you a schedule of what they're going to do, and it's just get familiar with the Capitol. I mean, many people don't go to the Capitol, so if you're just there for the first time, that would be a great day. They usually have some kind of activity going on. I think last year they had a band or...
Oh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so then every day or whenever they're in session, a lobbyist would hang out and just smooth, and then if there was like a measure like before we voted on the whatevers, you would hang out there like before to just keep it fresh in their minds.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I know last year you extended some of the conditions, and that was awesome. Anxiety was on there. I know addiction, it'd be nice to get that on there, to be honest. But I personally don't know how to, spin it. I don't know how to tell you it helps me be sober, I don't know how it helps me. People would argue that it is a disease, and you're on one thing and onto another. So that's a big thingy that you probably have to prove, which I would imagine Colorado has recovery programs right now. They're churning out that information,
Yes.
So I'm just wondering what other condition there is that you'd be asking to add. Is there anything?
Well, we're not really asking this year to add any conditions, although addiction would be a great one, and so would sleeping disorders, I think, would be a big benefit on there.
Yeah, sleeping disorder.
Insomnia, that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, CBD, and we'll get into that because apparently you had a kerfuffle, Oh, so tell me this. So you're growing it, right? And you grew it in your front yard?
I grew it in my backyard.
So your whole backyard was full of them. Things were huge.
They were huge. They were about 12 feet tall.
Man, that's crazy. So we'll catch everybody up. Leslie Ann Paulson, Committee of Compassionate Care. She decided to, take a shot at being a CBD farmer. So she inquired. She paid down the monies, right? There's money.
Yes.
Then you sign some sort of a liability thing.
Yes.
I suppose you almost have like a caseworker of CBD, huh? Like somebody I don't know how that works.
Yes, the ag department does have a guy that will come around and inspect your crop. And
like how many times a season?
He only came once, and it was the end of the season around harvest time.
So for everybody that doesn't know, she was tested for CBD. These plants were close to harvest, and then they tested hot. So you're not supposed to have anything under 0.003. 0.03.
Yes.
And so obviously it was over that.
Yes.
But if they would have tested sooner, so timing is important, right?
Timing's very important. In fact, I have a friend who grew the exact same stuff as I did, and
right.
He planted 3 weeks after I did, and that was the difference. He passed, I did not.
Well, okay, so could we argue that there's a point in the growth of the plant that there's always going to be a moment where it's higher than it's supposed to?
Yes.
So is it just ignorance on the farm or the people who come out and test it, or you put it in too late or too early?
I put it in too early.
Well, couldn't you tell them?
Or I should have had it tested sooner. This was my first go around, so I'm kind of
well, you're new.
It was a learning curve for me.
Yeah, I suppose. So because there is quite a bit of money that it goes into getting started, it wouldn't make sense to not do it again, right?
Oh, I'm doing it again.
Oh, that's cool. At least it doesn't completely. Okay, so how come you can't say to the guy, come back in a week? Or, you know what I mean? How come they just couldn't test a different time?
Well, I think the longer the plant grew, the more THC.
Okay, I got it.
Yes.
You waited too long to harvest.
Yes.
Got it. So it was. I don't want to say it was your negligence, but you waiting because you didn't know that it would start to go up.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so here's what everybody's wondering. Did they burn it in front of you? Did they come up with a flatbed truck and track it? Oh, you know what I mean.
Yeah, they came with a truck, and he cut them all down and put them in the back of his truck and took them away.
Oh, that's horrible.
And it was a sad day. Very sad day.
Man, I'm saddened by it. Okay, so tell me about the smell. So your whole backyard smell?
It was unbelievable.
Man.
Unbelievable.
So I think what trips me out about CBD is that it looks a lot like my uncle used to grow that was far from CBD. You know what I mean? It's crazy how this stuff looks in our head, what real cannabis looks like, because it is real cannabis. It just has some things removed from it, or, cloned in or whatever. And so people forget that just because you're growing a legal plant, it's still buds, it's still flowers, there's still pollen.
Yes. Still, all of that stuff.
I got a question. Can you test yours yourself?
Yes, and that's something I did not know until after it was too late. The state had already come and tested it, and then I found out there's actually a place in Fargo that will test it for me.
Huh.
So I think next year when I do it, I'm going to test it early before I call the state and say to come test it.
Right, because you can tell them.
I can tell. And if it's getting close, I'll just tell the state, come test it because I'm going to harvest. Gotcha.
See, now that makes sense. Yeah, okay. Because I was thinking like they treat it as, like they show up when they, the boss thinks you're, when you think the boss is gone, that's when you have a party in the shop, to where if he just shows up unannounced, boom, they're in there drinking Old Milwaukee's. In my head, I felt like that's the same thing as this guy. Like he's out to catch you when you shouldn't have too many. Now, can you have a certain amount of CBD plants? Does it matter how many you got back there?
Well, my patch was small, so I only had 20 plants, but there's people that plant acres and acres of this.
But it's the same cost to get in, though?
It's the same cost.
So you could expand then?
Yes.
Okay, cool,
yes.
Cool. Huh. Well, that's neat, because I couldn't believe how tall they were, too.
Oh, they were so incredible.
So, I see. So for people out there, make sure that you can test it, but they can come out. Don't just tell them to come out until you make sure.
Yeah, that would be my advice.
Because they're always going to go hot if you wait too long.
If you wait too long, yes. Yeah.
Huh. Well, what did they tell you what it was? Like, how much THC did it get? That probably sad me even more.
Well, it wasn't that much. It was, mine actually tested out at 0.420.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It was,
that's ridiculous.
you know what I would really like to see in that hemp program is to have that threshold expanded to a little bit higher. Because a 0.3% is a very small threshold to meet.
Yeah, you would think it would. Or if, I guess, for argument's sake, just bring the threshold down some.
Yeah.
Bring it down. But I wouldn't know how you would do that. But maybe have a window, So it's funny. Now, if I was in Carrington, I was out for a drive, and I went by Leslie Ann Paulson's front yard. Could I tell that you're the neighborly pot farmer?
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you know that I know about Carrington, but the big Indian, we used to drive through there all the time to Bible camp. So that road through Carrington, it's funny to me how the looky-loos would have just drove them nuts. Like, you probably had to deal with, I don't know,
there was
idiots.
Hundreds of people that drove through my alley watching my plants.
Oh, the alley.
Yeah, it was in the alley.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And you could actually see it from the highway where that Indian is.
Uh-huh.
You go up over that bridge and you look down and there was my plants.
So you got 20 plants in your backyard.
Yes.
Now, could you have gotten more in your yard, or that fills up? Like, is there like a requirement? You got to be so many, but they're huge.
I planted them 5 feet apart. So I do have an empty lot behind my house, and I've already got that dug up for next year.
Cool.
So, yeah, I'm expanding.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I know it's something people have green thumbs or whatever, that it's just it's in a market you can, people are all into brewing, craft brews, they're making their own hops, blah, 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 blah. And this is kind of the similar thing. You can use a bunch of different techniques. You can use hydroponics. You can, you can do you can do like a bonsai tree. Like, there's so many. The only problem is it's stinking illegal to do.
Yeah.
And so thankfully for Canada and Israel and those places that we've got, people are, doing tests and blah, 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 blah. So that's awesome. Mexico's finally legalized. But I remember, like I said, you and I meeting Measure 3, 2018. I remember being excited because they said it was going to be legal then.
Yeah.
So, so that's the thing. It's been 2 years. I can't see how you can take it serious. So that's what I want to change, that the people that can make things change need to know that it's serious now, that we're not kind of playing around.
We're not going anywhere.
No, especially people like you. And that's what it takes, because it is good. It's good for you. There's nothing wrong with it. And like I said, there was 3 things that could make profit, and one was cannabis and the other was paint and stinking trees. And the people with paint and trees won, and that was it. They won over the market, so they squashed the hemp and killed the trees.
A little side note there.
Oh.
I actually, you mentioned paint, and I actually bought some paint made out of hemp.
Get out.
Yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah.
So that's nuts.
That's nuts.
Yeah, see, and so that's my point. So hemp could have done all the things other people had, and so the guy with the most money, they got the toys to play with. In fact, and sadly though, it was negligent of them to do that, because in our heads we think cannabis is bad when in fact it was the good one.
Yes.
Everything else is bad.
Yes.
And you believe that. And it got too far down the line. Like, you and I don't want to not believe our parents, and they don't want to believe their parents, but it really was all conspiracy. It was all it's
a lot of propaganda.
Propaganda, that's the word. Yeah. And it's true. It's really true. Because if you look at those same guys that you believe, justifies you thinking it's bad, they also were horribly racist. Yes. And you're not racist. We're not racist. So how come it doesn't translate? You can believe that this guy is wrong because he's racist, but he also said cannabis was bad. Mm-hmm. So why can't we believe it both? Or believe that he was wrong about both? But it's hard to break through.
I don't know how the campaign went, but it was a good one. I mean, it worked.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And so that's the thing. There's people in Iowa that were still growing hemp, and to hear sirens, they go out and they're being arrested. They're like, well, this is hemp. They're like, well, no, it's called marijuana now, and you're coming with me, sir.
Yeah.
And that's literally how it happened, So we're just now, here at Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday, 4:20. Committee for Compassionate Care, Leslie Ann Paulson, also believes that cannabis should be legalized, and we're not going anywhere, And so to have the platform and to keep getting in, but it's just cannabis isn't bad. So that's what trips me out about cops, that they're resisting so obviously. It looks like they're saying, we're losing our cash cow. We've got to nitpick our way back to busting this low-hanging fruit, people that you should be leaving alone.
Yes.
And allowing to live their lives. It's easy for you to drive around and find a guy smoking an apple under a bridge. So let's get back to so legislation starts January when?
I believe it's the 5th of this
All
year.
right, and then you'll be hanging out?
Actually, that day I'm going to be in California.
Well, I'm saying through the course.
But I'm going to be there.
Okay,
yes.
cool. That's nice. Because I know, there was a lobbyist last year, and I don't know about all that, but I do know that there was some gains. There was definitely good things,
yes.
Especially the anxiety. So adding a grow to the medical, that'd be awesome, right?
Yeah, that's actually one of the things we're going to ask for is patient homegrown and also a caregiver homegrow.
Oh, yeah. Because I know, there's weird things I've heard, you can only grow, in South Dakota, you'll only be able to grow those 3 plants if you're not by a dispensary,
I believe that originally that medical measure that passed had a home grow if you were 40 miles away.
Oh, okay.
But that was, of course, wiped out.
Okay, so home grow, yeah, patient care, and then is there a way to reduce? Okay, so right now, how much does it cost in and out the door for me to get a medical license? I mean, it's still hard, right? I still got to get a doctor's relationship.
Right, unless you're a veteran.
Okay.
But yes, you have to go to the doctor. There are doctors that are now accepting all forms of insurance, which is a good thing.
Cool.
It's a $50 fine to the state of North Dakota, or not fine, permit.
Application fee, yeah.
Yeah, and which is due annually. So it'll be $50 every year. And you need to go see the doctor every 3 months.
Yeah, see, so it'd be nice to, remove that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's proving, there's too much evidence to show proof, right?
Yes.
You've got to pay to show them what? Because it's like being on probation. I remember when I was on probation, they wanted me to pay $50 a month. And I'm like, I'm a parent. I'm driving back and forth to school. I need shoes. I ain't giving you $50 a month. So I did Dakota Boys Ranch because they did, back then it was $6 an hour. So every whatever, I'd work the time. But it seems like the same thing here. Why am I paying you for me to show up? For me to have clean pee? For me not to interact with felons? Yeah. What are you doing for me? I'm the one kicking down the money. It's the same thing with this. It's like the only real reason is so they can tell the the legislators or whoever they are that we're doing our due diligence. We're making sure these guys need it.
Yeah.
Or don't need it, So that kind of bugs me. I don't know how you would remove that because when you say more available to people, that's it. Because I can't kick down every 3 months, $200 for them to tell me that what I'm doing is good.
Right.
I don't understand that, So I suppose you think just time will make it more lenient, you think, in North Dakota? I mean, it's just think back when medical, was first passed. Relative in time, how much do you think we've grown from that time till now?
Oh, I think huge amounts of growing up has gone on. I mean, I'm talking to people that have never used it in their life, but then they use it medically for hurt back, arthritis. They're now accepting it. Where 5 years ago, they probably would have said, oh, never.
Right.
Never do that.
Well, and that's the thing that I've been reading too, we didn't do it, but my oncologist friend in Maryland said, for your gout, Lynn, you should take gummy bears.
Right.
And so they weren't listening to the weird stoner. They were listening to the oncologist in Maryland.
Right.
And so that's the traction that we've gotten to. We don't have to listen to the guy at a long coat looking shifty-eyed about their health. Let me tell you how to take care of yourself.
Yeah, well, and, as a patient, you have to be really your own advocate.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things I really try and let people know, too, that if you don't think you're being treated right, you need to go to a different doctor. Doesn't matter if you've seen that doctor your whole life. Change doctors.
Yeah.
Seek somebody who will help you.
Right. And living in Fargo, they say it's the most liberal, whatever that means. I say cannabis legalization has nothing to do with who you are. It's what we are. And we have an endocannabinoid system. Mm-hmm. We all do.
Mm-hmm.
So let's stop pretending it don't exist in us.
Right.
And start getting us, resaturated. And I would imagine that a lot of the things we get those over-the-counter meds for would go away.
Yes.
That's just me. Prove me wrong. Don't do it here. We're here to change the law, not break the law. Go to South Dakota and do it.
Yeah.
Get to South Dakota and get right. All right? You heard it here, folks. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday, 4:20, we get into a bag of cannabis, and we're doing that now with Committee for Compassionate Care, Leslie Ann Paulson. So let's review. So you always wanted to do CBD? Like you thought it would be fun to grow? Because do you grow other stuff? You grow other stuff.
Oh, yeah. I grow all sorts of stuff.
Okay,
I have
so
berries and
cool.
trees and also, yeah.
You could just imagine getting dropped into Leslie Ann Paulson's yard. There's berries, cannabis trees and berries, little garden gnomes that talk to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're thinking I got a green thumb, and you work in the cannabis arena, so you're aware of it, and so then you apply for you do an application.
Yes. What you need to do with the state for your hemp permit is they do a background check.
Okay.
And once that's approved, then they do approve your permit, and there is some fees involved in that. I think that the background check was $50, and then for my field of hemp, my 20 plants, it was $100 for the application, and then you have to fill out some paperwork.
Okay.
What you're basically doing is research for the state of North Dakota.
Oh, so you're working for them for yourself,
Right? They're not paying you.
but they're coming and looking at it.
Right. Oh, it's
Cool.
fine.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool. I think what I was glad I had my thought that everything's fine. You're whistling in your yard. And all of a sudden, woo, the health inspectors, they jumped out of helicopters. They're like, we're going to
No.
test this, ma'am.
No.
To where it's more like you are working with the state.
I am working with
So it's
the
like a
state.
mutual thing
Yes.
to make sure we get the best hemp products and the hemp system, I suppose. And I would imagine in those heartland like valley areas like Carrington and stuff, huge agricultural whatever. So why not test somebody's yard first
Yes.
before you start, saying not corn in this one. Let's put the hemp in this one this
Yes.
year. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's another thing they don't understand about hemp, how nice of a plant it is. It takes the bad out of the ground. It filters everything bad out. If you would grow them along the pipeline, you wouldn't even know there's a pipeline. Of course, I make stuff up a lot, but I'm serious. It refines the impurities that it's grown in.
Yes.
Corn don't do that. Corn leaches the ground, So that's cool. Okay, so then you pass all the paperwork, then you got to get seeds, right? What do you Google seeds for Carrington?
No, I actually, you could, but I did not do that. I have a friend that's a CBD farmer, and I visited with him, and he sold me some seeds.
Oh.
And that's how I did it.
That's
so
all.
he's a local boy, and so I got something that's proven to grow in
Gotcha.
my area. And he's worked many years with the state. So when I worked with the state myself, it was, they trust him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, now that I'm seeing him more as the mediator of these good results, and you're part of the equation and they're part of the equation, as opposed to, again, them forcing you to maintain some sort of regimen, where the aha,
No.
I got you,
No.
so when you don't have to worry about, I suppose, like the risk of losing it because of it. I mean, you just were ignorant and you didn't know that, you let it grow too long. Well, next year you won't.
Yeah. In fact, I think the guy said you loved him too much,
Oh.
So, I mean, I was out there every day picking off brown leaves and,
Yeah, when you're at .07.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could just imagine like a bonfire with like your old leaves, like your cabbage, your stinking what's that, celery? What is a weird fruity stocky thing?
Oh,
Rhubarb.
Rhubarb, yeah.
That took me a while, but yeah, because they got the big leaf. But I could just imagine going to Aunt Leslie's stinking bonfire.
Yeah.
Everybody forget how to find the door because she's using all the leaves from her plants. That's hilarious. Well, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday, 4:30 we get into, or 4:20 we get a big bag of cannabis opened. And we're inside of it now. Leslie Ann Paulson is here. We've been having a good time. Committee for Compassionate Care on Facebook. And I think here, let me read my thingy, and then we'll whatever they call it. Wrap it up. This hour programming on KRFF 95.9 LPFM is being underwritten by Northland Vapor Company and Alpine Hemp. Northland Vapor offers e-liquids that are quality, not costly. Northland Vapor also carries a variety of CBD products from Alpine Hemp, ranging from capsules, tinctures, e-liquids, candies, gummies, coffees, teas, topicals, and CBD flower. Northland Vapor Company has locations in Moorhead, South Fargo, and Bemidji, or visit them on the web at www.northlandvapor.com and alpinehemp.com. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday at 4:20. Usually I wing it myself, but this time I got my friend Leslie in here talking about CBD and so applications, and then making sure that it's CBD. Now, is there a way to tell that when you buy it? Do they test those?
Yes, usually the seed is a certified seed. And
well, what could you have said, though, that maybe my seed was bad? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because you still got to get rid of it, right?
Right.
But I wonder what the percentage of is, like if we all got seeds in the room, and I just told you, well, these are CBD.
I don't think you'd know that till it grew and matured.
Man, so it seems like a weird risk.
It is a weird risk. So you got to trust the person that you buy it from.
Sure.
I mean, and this guy's growing the same thing, so I trusted that he doesn't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail.
Okay, so here's the question. So the CBD plants you grew, did it have a name?
Yeah, it was called B20.
B20.
Yeah.
Oh, is there a B18 somewhere?
Maybe.
Yeah, B20.
B20.
Oh, maybe because it's buds in 2020.
That's it.
That's exactly it. But anyway, thanks for coming in, Leslie. It's been fun. Oh, how many medical cards have recently or currently been distributed?
I checked a few days ago, and it was 4,177.
Since when? 2018?
Since 2018.
So what would you think is the biggest reason why that number ain't 10,000?
I think access to doctors that will certify.
And then repeatedly go in every 3 months.
Go in every 3 months. People that are uninsured or underinsured, it's very expensive to go to the doctor that many times.
I suppose.
Dispensary prices are killing patients as well. And I think the biggest problem, though, in the very beginning is finding a doctor.
Right. Yeah. But that's less the problem now. And I know people on like your page and other pages, they'll do like is there a doctor? So I've noticed that over the course of 2 years, how the info is accessible, to find out, where. People will help you. But back in the day, people would say, hey, there's a doctor in my lot. And they'd be like, yo, tell me about your doctor. You're like, oh, I'm telling you the doctor.
And the doctors were kind of sketched out about it, too. They were unsure about their jobs, and I can't blame them. They didn't know if they were going to even have a job if they didn't.
Yeah, so that's the thing. And so that's the thing, encouraging the doctors to know that they can do it with. Because I would imagine the first doctors, well, as we do know, were hesitant.
Yes.
Because they had no baseline to pull from. They just didn't know what to say. So it's easier just to say take Xanax instead.
Right.
Instead of go through this thing, and they've already taken money from the representative that comes around every 6 months, pushing new pills. They give them those neat little stuffed animals that says, the Pfizer.
Yeah.
And cannabis, there's no cannabis reps. Coming into the doctor going, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where the doctor, here, why don't you try a little of this, doctor? Like a tube and some jars. It's like awfully noisy. What do you got there? But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We've had a good time talking about cannabis. Everybody else should educate themselves. And if you want to grow CBD, Google it. And we're going to do a musical break, and I'll be back to tuck everybody in. That High Feeling, Cordovas, that's off the Destiny Hotel. That's a brand new one. And then that's the second time I played it because, man, I'm a show about cannabis. It's all going to pot, Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard. The game you play is listen to that song and tell me when Merle actually sings. I thought it was all Willie Nelson. So then go back and listen to it and try to figure out which verses are Merle and which one's Willie. It's confusing. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. What a good one we had. And I'll be back here Thursday, 4 o'clock. I get in here. 4:20, I open the bag of cannabis news, and we'll have a lot of it. So keep in mind South Dakota. And then I'm going to find out more of the medical legislation stuff. Apparently we got to talking about CBD plants and bonfires. We forgot to cover some of that, so I'll cover that next week. Again, Canna-Talk ND on YouTube, Canna-Talk ND on Facebook, Committee for Compassionate Care on Facebook as well, and that's a more medical slanted place. And again, she's a pretty open book. If you need something, you need to learn something, just reach out to Leslie Ann Paulson, and she'll take care of you. And until then, educate yourself so you can educate somebody else, because cannabis, we got to keep it green. What did I say today? The green is the new black. It's just time to just learn. Just start from scratch. Just start from scratch. Just clear out your head and then go back to learning new news about cannabis and the relevance and, in everything. You can get paint made out of hemp. You can get a car made out of hemp, and you can fix your head with hemp. So again, you handle that and I'll handle this, and I'll see you back here Thursday. That's next week. As we get closer to that day Santa pops out of the hole in the roof. Till next time, see ya.